wrapped in prayer, rides to the great forest, veiled princess. Can't remember it. Yay. Like 5 words or so, 10 words. Let's see if I can say it again. Wrapped in prayer. Yitzchak. It's wrapped in prayer, right? The word wrapped in prayer is kind of nice because it has the word of rapture. Good morning. It has like that word rapture in it. Wrapped in prayer. Are you wrapped? Are you immersed in prayer? Is your turquoise immersing in this heavenly world of blue? That heaven, just immersing yourself in that heavenly world. Okay, like the yam is like the rakia, which is like the kisei kavod I spoke about yesterday, or the day before, I don't know. Why is there that progression? My tzitzis, tchelis, remind me of the tchelis is the kiloyan, the kleis hanefesh. I think I spoke about that last night. The turquoise is the soul exploration, the rapture. Goes progressively. The color turquoise reminds you of the sea, which reminds you of the heavens, which reminds you of the holy throne of God. There's a progression. Why did Yitzchak marry someone so young? We know the simple reason, okay? The simple reason was a simple fact of protectiveness. But I think that resonates on a deeper level, and I'll explain to you why. And it touches on weird subjects that people distort so badly, especially now more than ever. And this makes it more difficult for us to understand the Torah. Very difficult. Because you can't even talk about things. I can't even, like, if you talk, like, I want to write a haiku about raising my daughter. And people are so twisted. People don't want their children on pictures. Okay, that's maybe a good thing. You know, like, you don't want your family pictures because you don't want anyone's business, especially if you have 5,000 friends. What kind of a sugar has 5,000 friends? It's ridiculous. You have like 2 friends, maybe, if you're lucky. 5,000 friends? Come on. I'm going to make a page, okay? Because this is ridiculous. I don't have 5,000 friends. It's ridiculous. I'm not going to be able to probably change that. I'm not going to like delete 4,950, whatever. It's not going to happen. So, but we have this privacy about our parenting. It's a very private thing. Okay, well, good morning. It's a very private thing. But it distorts something that's very important to know. It's very important to know the innocence of youth. It's very important that the most important shidduch of all time, and the Rebbe says this, okay? I think it was 1991 was the Tafshin and Aleph at the convention of the emissaries of the Rebbe, the Shulchan convention. Good morning. So there is some aspect of the importance of that match that everything depended on it. Avram gave everything for it, all of his wealth, and he was a fantastically wealthy person. And everything he gave, specifically, the Torah makes a whole big deal about it. Good morning. The Torah makes a big deal about it. It was the most important shidduch ever. Yitzchak, it's all about Yitzchak. Yitzchak's about continuity. It's interesting because it says the type of conflict that will not survive, and it gives Korach as the example, is one that's not l'shem shamayim. But if you have a conflict that is for the sake of heaven, that will be sustained. So what's the great big deal about that? So the Chassidus explains that first we're ruling now like Beis Hillel. We go lenient. God wants us to engage in things and therefore have the opportunity to elevate them, which is interesting because we're going to get more strict on ourselves because we're going to have a more subtle work. We've refined a very coarse aspect of ourselves. Now we have to get into the more fine details of making yourself have your integrity expressed in a more subtle, beautiful way. That's Beis Shammai. That's when Mashiach comes. We're going to rule like Beis Shammai. So when we say that the machlekes, the conflict is sustained because they do it l'shem shamayim, because they're really speaking from what they believe, from their particular inclination, their midas, their character. One is driven towards leniency. In other words, everything, relatively speaking, is more permissible. To Beis Shammai is everything much more severe and strict. So we're going to rule with the strictness, the fire of Yitzchak. The fire that seeks to separate elements. And you get a chunk of wood, which I've marveled at the growth of a tree. Where does it come from? Where did this thing come from? Someone explain that to me, okay? How did a tree become such a solid, massive thing? Where? I wasn't here yesterday. It was a seed. How did it come? So why isn't there not a hole in the ground? It's taking minerals from the earth. There should be a hole in the ground. Like, where's it coming from? Think of the roots spread and draw from further away, taking minerals from farther and deeper away. I think that's the Mission Pirkei speaks about that too, about having strong roots. Nothing can push you over if you have strong roots. I think that's what a tree represents. Okay, that was a bit of a tangent and that got me completely off topic. Okay, so I was speaking about the marriage between Yitzchak and Rivka is everything. Why? That is the marriage of Knesset Yisrael and Hashem. That is the marriage. That's where it's embodied. Yitzchak's about continuity. Oh, that's what I was speaking about. Yitzchak is about continuity, even though he's fire. And fire, he's the Levi, he's the Kairach. Kairach made a mistake. He made a mistake. What's that mistake? I suggested, I think yesterday, I don't know, about his laughter. It was a mocking laughter, whereas Yitzchak's laughter is Sarah's laughter, really, right? We said yesterday. It's the joy that God's with me in everything. I could just have faith 90 years, and I'm going to have now my whole life's purpose came to me. Even though she had a different purpose, and we spoke about this a different time, that her beauty had to be sustained, her youthfulness had to be sustained for her husband, because her husband was a very important person. He had to have the matronissa. Or Zerul Tzadik, if you were embodiment of God, what would you deny yourself? What would you lack? Nothing. And if you are lacking, it's spiritual. You have the matronissa, you have the Shekhinah. That's the davening. Okay? Your connection with God is mostly through davening. If you don't get that, you haven't been listening to me, actually. Or the teaching, the teaching, I quoted sources. I think I brought a Malbim the other day, okay? I talked about an Enigma source. A Malbim on that. Mashiach's going to come in virtue of our prayer. That's awesome. So this is the most important marriage because it embodied God marrying the Jewish people. That is the more than any other relationship amongst the Avais. It's probably Yitzchak and Rivka. I like to think of Sarah, Menu, and Avram because to me, like the founding fathers, founding first ones. I don't know, something about Sarah and the way she faced Pharaoh or Parai really resonates with me. But Rivka here, okay, so she's riding through the field at the age of 3. Why? What does that represent? If we could strip away all the dirt from the way the world interprets things, I only had one daughter. Okay, I have 7 boys, Baruch Hashem. Okay, I have one daughter. And time just flies by, and the older you get, the more fast the time seems to fly. I don't even remember bringing my daughter up, but that is the most pure moments. In terms of a relationship with a male and female, what could be more pure than a father to a daughter? And that's one of the relationships that Hashem calls us BT. That is a relationship of God to us. There's an aspect of that relationship that starts as BT. Then it's Achaisi, and then it's Imi, my mother. Okay, God calls us his mother. Because we provide something to God. But what's the relationship when you're mashpia to your daughter? What does that mean? That's an innocent that we can't even talk about anymore. Forget about just sharing pictures with people because that's completely inappropriate, right? But we don't even talk about. I can't even write a haiku about it. Immediately, some wacko is going to interpret it in an improper way. It's nothing. There's an importance. I always speak about that. This is the worst and most insidious of all the evil in the world. The most insidious. So I'm saying the flip side is the most precious. That's the Yitzchak, the precious, innocent laugh. I know Sarah was punished for laughing. That's the whole thing, okay? We'll have to look into that another time. That complicates it very much. I realize that. But that only means there's a greater depth. I don't have time. Like last night, 3 hours, I got 2 hours sleep. It's insane. how am I supposed to function now? But I just had to share this idea. I had this idea that why did Yitzchak have to marry Rivka at the age 3? Come on. It says that they went into the tent and she was Sarah, his mother. What does that mean? Remember I just said 3 levels? Biti achaisi imi. There's a progress. God takes care of us for when we're the most innocent and most childlike, the most vulnerable stage of our life. God's there with us. Yitzchak was there for Rivka from the beginning, to protect her and to guide her and to embrace her and to raise her up to be the most powerful woman in the whole world in their generation. Okay? That's the princess, the matronissa, the most important relationship, Yitzchak and Rivka, of all history. That's the most important relationship. Everyone came from Rivka, okay? Yaakov had 4 wives. That doesn't embody this relationship. Yitzchak had nobody else. It's awesome. Even Abraham had Hagar. And what do they call them? The Pelagshim? I think, yeah. He had like maybe 7 concubines, or Hagar was the embodiment of all 7 aspects, or whatever the number is. Someone look that up for me, please, because I think that's 7. Which resonates nicely. They went off to the Orient to make Eastern wisdom. Okay, look that up. It's awesome. Maybe I should speak about that one day. I just don't want to talk about things that other people could talk about. I don't want to talk about Eastern whatever. I mean, I think that I have incorporated that into a Jewish perspective. Purely Jewish sources. I've been totally away from that stuff for like 30 years now, or 25 years. So that's just not something that I'm into, but I think there's a general truth that you could tap into to tell you know you're going to get it right. Other things you might stumble across, like the clock hands are right twice a day, right? They just default into it. So you write 1,000 things. One of them is going to be maybe resonate some truth. Dreams have a bit of truth to them, right? Or they could. It says there's no truth. There's no dream without a little bit of an inconsistency or something that's awry. So Yitzchak, embodying the relationship of Hashem to the Jewish people, has a relationship that starts with the Jewish people at the level of BT, the innocence of youth, of childhood. And that is specifically a male-female relationship. The purity of that. That's what drives all later generations. The purity of our connections. That is something that will combat all the addictions and all this stuff, okay? Think about that. Think to the source of what's driving it. There's an innocence that we've corrupted. There's a beauty in innocence. We can't even talk about it anymore because the world's so corrupted. That's a horror. That's a destruction of a very important image. And that's why we can't even look at the story, and no one can hold their head up to say that story. How am I supposed to explain that story? She's 3 years old. You can't explain it. I can hold my head up and say, I know the term is true. I have nothing to be ashamed of. It was an act of protection. It was an act of bringing up a child from day 1. Why day 1? Because she only became a female at age 3. Before that, not really considered. The gender is doesn't have any real expression until age 3 for a girl and 9 for a boy. And that's a very significant thing. And I've said what they did to girls at age 3 when she lived. So Yitzchak had to save her from that. It was a very selfish thing they did, right? That's why the female is said to have, there's 2 ways to relate. There's a very selfish relationship. It says there's no hana, in a certain selfish type of, I don't call it unnatural because that's just dogmatic and stupid. It's stupid to say that. But it represents a selfish relationship. Which, Esther, what was that? What could be more selfish relationship than Ahasuerus and Esther? I've spoken about this at length, but it's just this idea just resounds in my head. That's so powerful. And whenever I say Meshel, whenever I call Hashem Meshel, the dictator of the universe, I think about Ahasuerus embodying God, as it says in the Gemara. Ahasuerus embodies God. Everything he does is an embodiment of godliness. So what was his relationship with Esther? It was inappropriate. Very inappropriate. What does that say? How are you supposed to understand that? So there is the role of Esther, and I link Dinah to Esther here, because Dinah, it says, she was assaulted in the worst way by Shem, okay, a prince. She was assaulted by him. But the Rebbe says in a Sikha that wasn't her punishment. She was exposed to a very selfish relationship where she was just used as a vessel for masculine toxicity, right? Same with Esther, okay? But and I'm talking about Dinah, because the Rebbe speaks about Dinah as calling her Yatzanis, and that was a good thing. And why? Because she was reaching out to people she wanted, and that led to her. However, the flip side of that, or the danger of that, is when she was captured, but it wasn't her punishment. She didn't do anything wrong, the Rebbe says. That wasn't her punishment. A tzedekis like Dinah, she's just accepting like the earth, like Esther's described as being the earth. Totally passive to the Meishel of the world, a Meishel Makiba Achashverosh. But God is called a Meishel. There's an aspect of godliness that our Aveda is to say, I know I see you now as a tyrant, Chas v'shalom. But that's the way it was in the Esther Achashverosh story, okay? And Esther, or Dinah, is so holy. It says, I don't understand it, but I give myself away to you with total trust. And it's not Dinah's punishment. Okay, Esther, we'll look into another time. That's a fascinating thing what Esther did. Fascinating. Okay, she had Mesiras Nefesh, self-sacrifice, in a religious way, giving away aspects of her religion for something even deeper than that. The Yitzchak, the prosperity, the continuity of the Jewish people. That's the Yitzchak. The power from that is in the bittul of Esther. That type of malchus, the earth. I'm just earth. I'll accept whatever. That's, okay? That's the power. That's what draws the power. To embody the matronissa, okay? Where she just trusts everything from the Baal. That's the Yitzchak, the continuity, the ability to have continuity is empowered sometimes from even that. Meaning that you have to be prepared to go even there. That's your relationship to God. So how much more so? The most pure and holy and beautiful relationship between a father and a daughter is not something sinister. That's not what Yitzchak represents. Lahavdil, he's nothing like, he's not a Achashverosh. He's not a Achashverosh, he's no tyrant. He was davening, looking towards the east, and the Shechina was coming to greet him. Okay? The matronissa, the veiled bride. She veils himself when she was in proximity. That's a powerful image. That's the preciousness, the innocence. That's the showing, the foundation of that relationship was the innocence. So there's this trust that we can't even understand because we're so corrupt. So just latch on to some innocence in life. Embrace that, because I'm telling you, that is the power to stand up before the whole world and say, Kushan Tukas. That's the power. It comes from embracing that innocence to say, I know that this is the right way. And the rest of the world, I kiss you goodbye. You're nothing to me. Sarah tells Pari with this sneer on her face, you're nothing to me. I laugh at you. The laughter of Yitzchak is Sarah's laughter when Yitzchak goes into the tent. Rivka was Sarah, his mother. What does that mean? This is what I'm suggesting. It's a laughter, the innocent laughter. The innocence that is the foundation for all generations of continuity throughout time, through the worst dire Achashverosh tyrants, one after the other. Hold over there. Okay, I think that's going to cut it for today. It's a bit late. I didn't think I was going to say anything because I'm a total train wreck inside right now. I know, it's horrible. But I thought I had to do it for Gimel Tammuz. You know, I really wanted to try to correct a lot of misinformation about that day. It's very wrongly celebrated, okay? It's a very big mistake, I think. I mean, I know it's a bit of a radical approach I have, and so what? I think you got to be radical. That's the Yitzchak, that's the parrot, the child that comes before the king. Okay, you said yesterday, I think, that there are two gifts that you give a king. It says in the Likutei Torah, okay, the Alter Rebbe writes, the first Lubavitcher Rebbe. When you go before a king, you bring either a parrot, Yitzchak, it's a laughter, or a young child, same thing. You amuse the king with taking your animal and speaking, okay? That causes the laughter. When you can take our sort of very passionate beings, because if you're not passionate, you're a paper mache person, you have nothing to do with listening to me. If you're listening to me and you're this paper mache, hello, good morning, this paper mache type of person, I'm a pasty, okay, I'm pasty today. So, but I have an inner fire still, I hope. Like, it's covered over a bit with like exhaustion. But I feel very animated still, thank God. I mean, that's precious. I want to be animated during my davening. I can't be asleep. I can't be a paper mache when I'm davening. No way. It's Shas, Sleitza, Shas Krava, or vice versa. The time of davening is a time of warfare. It's a battle. It starts as a battle. That's a battle to do that. I just want to like cuddle up in my covers. Who wants to sit up? Like, I try and sit up now, and I do. I sit up now. I was like, you know, I sit up now, dangle my feet off the bed, bow my head, okay? If you don't like this position, that's the correct position. Sorry. We're like a servant. Yes, master. Whatever you say, master. That kind of thing, right? That's how we wake up in the morning. That's how a Jew gets out of bed. That's what it means to rise like a lion, or what does it come to Ari, or like a leopard, the next part of it. A nemer, I think it says, a leopard or a cougar. I don't know. There's beautiful animals. God creates such beautiful beasts. So when that beast behaves, when the Rashbi rules and says there's going to be mazikin, there's going to be wild animals, but they're not going to be wild. That's the beauty of a tamed beast. The innocence, the original innocence of animals. I don't think that they were destructive in Gan Eden. I don't think they ate each other. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think I learned that. And they revert back to that when Mashiach comes, according to Reb Shimon. Okay? And the Rebbe says that we paskin like that. Rambam rules like that approach, and that's the way it's going to be. Because Rambam says that it's an analogy, and it's going to be fulfilled in the idea that there's going to be our enemies, and they're going to be our friends. They're going to become our friends. So make friends with your animal and present yourself before the king. Present yourself as something amusing to the king, right? You want to be a strange creature, like a parrot? Be a beautiful creature, like, what was those, what are they called? Peacocks. Have you ever seen a more beautiful thing than a peacock? Okay, I happen to like terrifying animals too, but a peacock is like, that's like a psychedelic display. Take a look at that. I posted some peacocks that are so beautiful. I mean, when you go to the zoo, it's like the stinkiest peacock you can find. Literally, and with like no more feathers left, the little kids pluck them out, right? I went to the last time I went to like a farm, or whatever, little kids petting zoo or whatever. That's what I saw, a peacock there. That was like, that's a peacock. And then I saw in the video of a peacock, I couldn't believe it. That's what God created? That beautiful creature? Because I just know this. Like, it looked like a turkey. Maybe it was a turkey. I probably saw a turkey. Don't confuse turkeys for peacocks, okay? Find the true beauty, the innocence in life, and latch on to that, and go through the progress, this relationship with Hashem. Modiani, the BT, you're God's daughter. You just trust that He's going to bring you up. And there's an innocence, and they don't have the sick, disgusting views. Okay, I know the Rebbe said that you shouldn't have relationships that are more than 10 years difference. Okay, that's what the Rebbe said. I heard. I didn't see it inside. Okay, and so I don't mean to criticize that people anyways, but I'm not trying to even say for sure that that's true, because I know some people that do marry much younger, and I respect those people. They're my friends. But I'm just telling you what I heard that the Rebbe said. So if that's true, times are different now. Maybe related, but I doubt it. I think this is something else. People change, bodies change. I spoke about that, I wrote about that for Shavuos. Okay, look that up, because it's fascinating about medicine and Torah. Fascinating stuff. Anyone have anything to say this morning? Okay, that's a good way for me to get out of here. I hope I did the full circle of the whole story and told you the whole story about a princess meeting the prince, Yitzchak, in the field. This great forest. You brought up like a tree. Oh, that's why I was speaking about trees, I guess. You just brought up, the trees, they just grow out of nothing. So you start from the beginning just like a seed is planted, and you take care of that from day one. I've seen sikhs that speak about that, the importance of raising a plant from the first moments. You got it even from the level of this planting the seed. Everything has to do with that innocence. Okay, that resonates too, I just realized, obviously. I mean, oh, the conception. I posted about conception, that there's a light there. There's a purity there. There's a light there. That's what has to be our focus, okay? Or we're going to be driven into not being wholesome people. And that, you know what the problem is? I don't care about. I'm not judging anybody. But what will happen? You won't be able to understand the Torah. You won't be able to understand the most important relationship that ever happened. And therefore, you'll never understand a proper relationship because you don't have a role model for it. Here is the role model for it. It's the innocence of youth. It's bringing innocence into a relationship. That's what it's about, okay? I just realized that in the mikvah today. Okay, so take it or leave it. This is my idea. I have no source for it. If I had a source for something similar, what was it? I said the last time I talked about this. Oh yeah, Rashi's idea that she had to protect her. But I think it's the same idea. It's just sort of more developed, maybe embellished. I don't think so. Just develop that same idea. How does it apply in a more intimate expression, or if it's in that world? I love Malchus Kol Olamim. You are the king of all worlds. There's no world that you can't talk about the holy approach to it. There is no world, no, nothing. So why do I speak about specifically these things, you would say? I know my friend Menachem Foyer, he pointed out, I talk about risque topics, or what was the word he used? He said that, right? And okay, so he's right. So what? Why? Because we're human. We don't use these ideas for the right purposes. That's the big problem. We're made a certain way for a reason. So we identify with them. That's what I said about, that's why that YY Jacobson clip, right? Okay, I'm getting too excited. That I posted, that he says, don't say drushes at your Shabbos tale. He said it a bit different. Don't say drushes. Nobody wants to hear your tears. Speak truth. Okay, that's his way of saying it. I wouldn't say it at all like that. Okay, but I just love that because I respect him, and therefore when I put it in his words, I think it has a power to say, look at this great rabbi and see what he's saying. Take that seriously. Nobody else is speaking to people. You're just saying tires all the time. I'm angry not because I regret that. I need people. We need people. In fact, when I spoke to YY Jacobson about this topic, he said, I said I want to give him drushes. And he says, I want you to teach halacha. I'm like, what? Anyone could teach halacha. I want to write drushes. Who can write a drush? Who could say drushes? It's not so easy to say it in a way that resonates. Because he doesn't want anyone's drushes. He wants to do... But this is the opposite. Okay, this is the opposite. I just flipped it over, okay? I don't know if you noticed. Okay, so you can see that I'm like not on the top of my game this morning, right? I don't know, I feel happy anyways, thank God. I feel really, I mean, I'm train wreck inside. So yeah, I think it's very important not to say drushes, but to talk to people. So by the way, I would say it, something like, let's just think, clear my mind. When you speak something, make sure that you engage your listener. If you don't engage them, just shut up. When I see my audience is getting a bit tired, I leave. I can't expect someone to be me, or someone could, like the Mittler ever spoke for 6 hours. I couldn't do that. I couldn't sit there 6 hours. Who am I? I'm not Superman. So most people can't listen to an hour. I had someone that told me that, you can't speak for an hour. Who are you to speak for an hour? You're wasting people's time. But I know that there is an audience for that because I watch sometimes 2 or 3 hour classes when I'm on the bike. And you know what? I burn off a lot of calories that way, and I get to be inspired at the same time. Awesome. That's awesome. Okay, I hope I really congealed this all for you, crystallized it for you, because this is very, very important. So if we have ideas that we're drawn to, like the world now is so focused on different topics, there's talking points, they're not talking points, there's like stories that go in and out of fashion. And this is one thing that at least the streams I'm on are promoting, this really weird idea that people are trying to now normalize really strange ideas. Some of them are very harmful. These ideas are harmful, but I'm not one of these guys that goes crazy and like fights everybody. I just try and battle by, good morning, Joel. I just try and battle it by trying to emphasize how a different perspective, or talk about things in a way that I think is interesting or important. And therefore, if you're going to make a talking thing like the whole world's into one topic, like, I'll speak about it. That's what people are into. So find out why are they into it. That's very, very important if you want to reach people. Not everyone could read every day the halachas of lighting Hanukkah candles or something like that. That's terrible. It's fantastic. It's an awesome thing to do. But people need to be inspired. And that's what I think everyone has to strive for. The purity in conception, that moment of light. Take a look at that picture. It's awesome. Of conception. That's a light. You know, we have this idea of a light bulb going off in our head as a new idea. You're impregnated with a new idea. That happens in the most literal sense, and in a conceptual, not in conceptual, in the idea of being conceiving. Okay, that's a different word, use of the word, or maybe it's a different word. Conceiving your conception in that sense. There's a light there. So there's a purity there that we have to counter. That's the fight. Okay, it's not a fight of getting angry with people. That's a big mistake. People get so angry for liberal, right-wing liberal. It's so babyish. If your ideas are right, just say them with more enthusiasm and more of a bigger smile, and you'll win. That's why the Rebbe the Rebbe encouraged the beauty queen to use her beauty to serve God. Why? Because the message will get out. And what does that mean? Be beautiful. Why is Rivka beautiful? Why are all the Amahis so beautiful? Because they had an attractive way of presenting ideas. Leah was the exception. Her beauty was way deeper than that. I've spoken about that before. That's why Jake's been taught me about that, okay? About this amazing thing, why we put the veil on under the chuppah, the bedekin ceremony. It's because of Leah. It's because there's aspects of someone that you're going to marry that you'll never have known about and you'll never will know about. There's people or individuals. The matronissa is also an image, because you cannot get, there's always aspects of Leah in everybody. You have to be prepared to marry Leah, okay? When you become intimate, we put a veil on. Rivka put a veil on. You put a veil on to represent that you trust that whatever differences that are in your spouse or whatever, that you are ready, be prepared to embrace that too. The veil is also embracing, encompassing, besides just concealing. That's a great image to leave this with, okay? Maybe I should write something about that. Okay, I did. I actually contrasted in my haiku about the talus of Yitzhak, I think I wrote about. Yeah, wrapped in prayer. That's his talus. He's wrapped up. And the veil conceals, but you're immersed in it. You're wrapped in it. The veil has both. That's the turtle I spoke about the other day. Maybe not here. I've spoken other places. Okay, have a great morning, everybody. Lots of blessings on Daled Tammuz. This is the yard site of Mendel Futterfast, one of my heroes, one of my greatest heroes in my whole ever. Okay, look him up. He's a very inspiring chassid. Have a great day.